Hello and welcome to Unacademy. I welcome you all to this session. Now, as part of an endeavor to make sure that you crack the examination in the first attempt itself, I'm launching a new type of series which is called History for Beginners. Now, you will find these videos at least 2 to 3 in a week. And the idea is very simple to explain to you as a beginner, for a person who is doing this for the first time, how and what to do with regards to certain topics, how to target certain fundamental topics itself, what are the things which UPSC is expecting. I will give you NCERT based understanding also, but I will also go till RS Sharma level. Once you watch this video, you are ready to go for advanced level understanding, maybe referring to specialized books also. The idea is very simple: to identify all the areas which are asked in the examination and also understand them in the most simplest manner. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, the idea is that we will cover the Indus Valley Civilization. What are the different topics which are embedded inside it? What are the basic facts you should know? And if you're a repeater or a beginner, this may be something which you need so as to be guided in every area which is important in the examination. Now, if you want the PDF of this session, you will find it in this Telegram channel. But if you're looking for expert guidance or more comprehensive program for everything, which is you want all the subjects covered in the most comprehensive program and in a way the best program available for you, you can use the 16999 plus double validity offer, which is live right now. You have to use the code IS English, very important, to unlock this price and double validity also. You have to also understand one thing: this is a limited series or limited period offer, and you should use this opportunity to get the guidance from the best team which is available for UPSC in English, which is our team itself. Now, with this, let's try to understand what are the different topics which basically come under IVC. When we talk about Indus Valley Civilization, there is discovery, the story behind it, geographical extent, what comes under it, then salient features, which is very important. This is a very important area. Then you have something called trade and economy. Again, UPSC is asked questions out of this area, very important. Then we have polity, we have society, we have writing, and we have decline. These are basic things which basically make this topic, and if you are able to cover this in the next, you can say 10, 15, 20 minutes with the basic understanding, you are sorted, and if you can understand it, even better. Now, let's first talk about the discovery of the Indus Valley Civilization. So the first site which was discovered is called Harappa. It was discovered by a person called Charles Mason, who is a British surveyor and officer of the East India Company, who was surveying the Punjab sector, Sindh sector for the railways itself, and he comes across a Buddhist stupa under which he found artifacts which were not dating to the 6th century BC or to the Buddhist period itself. And thereafter, the first proper archaeologist to actually go to Harappa and understand what it is, ASI first director, his name is Alexander Cunningham. Now, Alexander Cunningham, the first DG of ASI itself, now will commission a full survey. He's not specifically a person who specializes in this period of the 3rd millennium BCE, but he basically starts to survey and commission a lot of ASI based archaeologists who will then uncover the whole set of sites which today are called the Harappan sites itself. But the world got to know about Harappa. This was in 1826. The world got to know about Harappa only in 1924, when the second DG of ASI, his name is John Marshall, he is going to tell the world that there is a certain site called the Harappan Civilization, but he will be the first to also call it Indus Valley Civilization, because when Alexander Cunningham reached, there was only one site. But by the time John Marshall was publishing about the Indus Valley Civilization, there were multiple sites, if plotted on a certain map, were mostly on the tributaries of the Indus. So this is the first thing. How was it discovered? Don't have to go into each and every site archaeologist, that is not needed for UPSC. Maybe for state PCS you may need it, but for UPSC you don't have to learn each and every site who was the archaeologist. Now, the second question which automatically comes out is, what is the geographical extent and what are the sites itself? Now here, obviously, you need to know north, south, east and west, and therefore northernmost site is called Manda. The westernmost site is called Sutka Gendor. Then the easternmost site is called as Alamgirpur, and the southernmost site is called as Daimabad. These four cardinal, you can say, sites are basically north, south, east and west. But when you look at the major sites, for example, this is out of Upinder Singh, Mohenjo is here, Chanudaro is here. Then you have Surkotada, where you found horse, Lothal. Then you have Padri here. Then you have Dholavira, very important. Then Sutka Gendor, generally important. Shotugai is a site which is somewhere here, which basically gives you lapis lazuli. Banavali is an important site, Kalibangan, Rakhigadi. And now if you see the whole set itself, you will realize that these sites are all in the northwestern sector. The reason why they are not in the Gangetic Plains is because Indus Valley Civilization is a Bronze Age civilization. It is which falls under Chalcolithic period. Chalcolithic means copper plus stone. Therefore, this main period of the Indus Valley Civilization, there was no iron. With no iron, it was very difficult to move towards the marshy and very heavily forested alluvial plains. Harappa is here, and as you can see, all of them are based on the Indus River in that regard. So, geographical extent, Manda, Daimabad, Sutka Gendor, Alamgirpur should be known. There's one more map which basically is very, very important for your understanding, because if you don't know north, south, east and west, then it will be difficult for you to eliminate in the examination what are the basic sites where they are basically placed upon. Now, what is the time period? What is the time period of the Indus Valley Civilization? When we talk about that, we have early phase, which is 3200 to 2600 BCE. Then you have mature phase, which is the most important, 2600 to 1700 BCE. And then from there we have the decline phase, which is basically 1700 to 1500, somewhere 1300 is also quoted, BCE. Sometimes you will find 1900 here also written. Based on the source, this can change. Now, what we've understood is three things: geographical extent, time period, and also who found it and when was it told or when was it revealed to the world that there's something called Indus Valley Civilization which exists. Three things. Now, the most important set of questions which come out of this topic is features. What are the features of the Indus Valley Civilization? We are right now above NCERT level, but below extremely specialized level, but important for the examination. Now, when we talk about features, mostly Mohenjo-Daro is taken as an example. It is taken as an understanding that, okay, this site is our model site, and based on that, except for Banavali, which has a certain exception, most of these sites are basically exhibiting the same level of standardization and understanding. Manda is here, as you can see, and Sutka Gendor. Remember these sites, I'm multiple times saying it so that you don't forget generally. Now, when we talk about the features, the first thing which people will show you is this map. So the first most important feature of the Indus Valley Civilization is called town planning. Now, this is a very sophisticated and you can say very, very important feature which makes it first urbanization also, modern feature, very, very specialized and seen across the civilization itself. Town planning, you have something called citadel and lower town. When we talk about citadel and lower town, as you can see here, there's one part of the whole civilization which is on a mount which was made man-made, which was made by the Harappans itself. And you have a lower town. Basically, if we look at this whole concept from the sideways concept, we have something which is raised, something which is down. This is the citadel and this is the lower town. What is even more interesting is this is an example of spatial division according to purpose. Why? Because citadel had what is called as public buildings, great bath, the concept of a granary, the college of priests, and the lower town basically had residential complexes, houses, and therefore it is very well planned and very well thought out before even anything was coming up. So therefore they created a man-made platform on which citadel was there, and lower town we see this type of understanding. Further, the second thing which they say under town planning is something called the grid pattern 90-degree streets, grid pattern roads, and the exception here is only Banavali. Banavali is actually not a grid pattern but concentric circles, which is called radial pattern. This you should know for the examination. Not all sites have a grid pattern in that regard. But what is more important here is that these grid pattern had two features embedded inside it, all going north to south, east to west, which is that it had a drainage line and a sewage line, both integrated into it. Therefore, fresh water and grey water used to run across the seat itself. In certain areas, it was even covered in that regard. And there is something called great water management which is there. Water management is very, very important because they have rainwater harvesting also. They are managing sewage. They are managing drains. They have wells in most spaces, even within houses itself. They have reservoirs. They have tanks. All come under water management in that regard. But what is even more interesting is there are toilets which are attached to every household in public spaces also, which makes it even more interesting. So therefore, the feature of this and all of these forms or basically is also Harappan architecture. When there's a question on Harappan architecture, you just have to list the same thing. So therefore, water management, toilets. Now moving on from this understanding, if we go to the next set of concepts in that regard, let me just change the color of this, which is that if we talk about the second major feature, which is called as standardization and uniformity. When we talk about standardization and uniformity, we have bricks in 1:2:4 ratio for city walls and for houses. 1:2:4 ratio is there. Weights and measures have been found, and we have burnt bricks and sun-dyed bricks across this whole civilization used properly. Then we have what is called as household or household design. This is where we see across the civilization a central courtyard design. Along with that, rooms are around the central courtyard. UPSC asked a question in 2026 on this. This is indicative of a design of housing which is not indicative of common property, but rather a airy design which is based on sustainability in that regard. Wells are there, toilets are there. This could be 1-story, 2-story. None of the doors opened or windows open towards the main street, only in the side lanes, not in the main street. And over and above that, privacy was taken care of very well. So if you look at the features in that regard, from water management to drainage to grid pattern to the concept of standardization, uniformity, household design, we have also found evidences of what is called as spindles, which is cotton cloth being produced within the Indus Valley Civilization. It is an extremely advanced civilization, and these features were expected in 2025 mains examination. In 2026, they asked this type of question in that sense. So I hope features are sorted. Now, when we move to next topic, which is called as trade. Now, within the Indus Valley Civilization, let's first establish what is their main economic activity. When we talk about economic activity, agriculture plus animal husbandry plus we also have what is called as hunting gathering. We have enough evidences of that. We don't have any evidence of warfare per se. In agriculture, we have all forms of grains, wheat, barley, rice, millets, everything being produced, different types of lentils, different type of legumes, everything is produced in that regard. Therefore, agriculture is extremely advanced, and animal husbandry, which is domestication of animals, is also there. Now, what is more important is, for the first time in human history properly, there was both internal and external trade. Internal trade means that there was movement of raw material across the civilization, because every area was specialized. For example, Shotuga used to give lapis lazuli. You have the Khetri mines giving them copper. Even the non-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures, Kolar mines were actually giving gold. Therefore, there was a lot of internal trade through the concept of barter. But what is even more interesting is that Meluha, which is the name given to the Harappan civilization via the world, specifically Mesopotamia, Meluha was connected to this whole world through a land route and also a sea route. We know of that because we have certain, you can say, artifacts which are found across this sector. Being connected to Mesopotamia is very, very important, because this is the second Bronze Age civilization, but very advanced civilization at this point of time. But this connection in that regard shows movement. And if you go by what was coming into the Harappan civilization, it is even more interesting. For example, Turkmenistan was actually sending in ivory dye, and you don't have to per se learn this, but metal objects, a lot of different aspects were coming through. Iran, Persian Gulf, Bahrain, Oman, Mesopotamia, all these sites. We have found, for example, in Mesopotamia, multiple things were imported, multiple things were exported. This slide may be important for the examination, but I'm trying to give you a basic understanding of how Harappan civilization works. What are the basic contours of it? And the basic contours is that it is a very advanced civilization with trade, internal, external, good agriculture, animal husbandry. Then comes the standardization, grid pattern, all the features, first urbanization. Now, this leads us to a very standard question, which is society. Now, what we know of the Indus Valley Civilization through burials is that obviously there was social stratification, which is differentiation. Division of labor was also there. Maybe there was patriarchy. We cannot ascertain that through just archaeological sources, because jewelry is being worn by everybody, and we don't have definite sources of what it actually is. Matriarchy, patriarchy, patriarchal, whatever you say, it is all conjecture, because archaeology does not give access to these 5 types of concepts in that regard. But division of labor was there. Agriculture society, haves and have-nots would have been there. Ruling elites, rich, poor, somewhere, because it is a concept of having wealth, and wealth may have been anything from grains to how much surplus you have. It was a divided civilization based on some form of social category. We don't know of that definitely. This is where now we are moving into that direction, where we don't know a lot of Indus Valley civilization. Whilst we know geographical extent, we know of trade, we know of features, we know of discovery. When it comes to now the next set, we don't know a lot of. For example, we have the biggest mystery of the Indus Valley civilization, which is its writing. When we talk about writing, the Harappan script, let anybody claim that they have deciphered it, but it has not been deciphered till today, because there are close to 400, 375, 400 symbols. Is this a logo pictograph? Is it a pictograph? We don't know of it. Harappan writing has not been deciphered till this point, therefore we don't know their language. There is no Rosetta Stone also, unlike cuneiform, which is the language of the Mesopotamians. We don't know if that. Just one thing which linguists argue is that it is a concept based on Bostrofenden. Bostrofenden means that the lines move like this. English and Arabic is written from either left to right, right to left, but they used to move from left to right, then right to left, then left to right, then right to left. Basically, this is the idea. Bostrofenden is a word not deciphered, too many symbols, too many questions to answer with regards to writing. Then, the next important discussion here is of religion. When we talk about religion, we know that they had a naturalistic religion based on male and female deities. We have a very good example of that, which is the Pashupati seal, male deity. Female deity, mother goddess figure we've also found. We have no temples per se. Further, it is naturalistic, which means that they were worshipping nature. We have evidence of yogic, linga, yonic worship across the civilization. The religious practices were very well established, but maybe not institutionalized properly, but it was there. It was there. So religion, society, religion we know more, society we know less. With regards to writing, we don't know anything. And because the seals have all these different writings on them, we don't know what this seal actually means in that regard. One important feature of the Indus Valley Civilization based on economy is craft specialization. Bead working, you can say metal working, copper, bronze, jewelry based on gold and silver, the shell working, everything was there. Ceatite is soapstone, first primary raw material. Second is clay, which is molded into, you can say, hardened clays, which is called terracotta. And we have copper, copper coming from the Khetri mines. Even Omanian copper was used in that regard. Now, moving out of that, then you move into even bigger gray areas, which is polity. When we talk about polity, see, mature state was there, obviously. Maybe centralization was also there, because such a big, you can say, expanse does not have, you can say, even a difference in major concepts. Pottery is the same, uniformity, weights and measures the same, everything is same. Therefore, mature state was there, but we don't know the nature of the state. There are theories. One theory says that it was run by merchants. One theory says based on the priest king that it was priests. One theory is all plausibility. You can argue anything. I don't have a definite answer for this, because nature cannot be ascertained through archaeology. We know that it is a mature state, but we don't know what nature it holds in that regard. Similarly, when we talk about decline, there was something called the Aryan invasion theory, which was based on John Marshall's understanding of one site where 19 bodies were found, burial was found, and they had some arrow marks. The idea that Indra is called Purandar, therefore the Aryan invasion was there. That theory has been mostly debunked. Aryan migration theory is there. But what is more plausible is environmental change. One set of historians say that it was desiccation, which is more and more drought, because Indus was extremely, you can say, young at this point of time. Its coarse movement brought in a lot of drought in certain sectors. The Saraswati river actually dried up. At the same point of time, some say flooding, because if the river is moving, it will move to a certain sector where there will be flooding. Flooding has also been found in archaeological evidences. And even trade decline, along with all these factors working together, has been considered to be the reasons for decline. So when we set out to discuss this topic, you may be feeling that is this enough? Is this basic understanding? Is it what the examination needs? Yes. From the perspective of UPSC, whatever I have told you is all fundamental knowledge. Anything you add would be site profile and what the sites yield, from great bath to granaries, from fire worship at Kalibangan to the concepts of Chanudaro, Banavali, plowed field, Alamgirpur. Those are secondary details. This session is to give you first set of details. So discovery, let's revise once. Discovery, Charles Mason 1826, John Marshall in 1924. Geographical spread, Manda, Sutkagendor, Alamgirpur and Daimabad. Society stratified, but we cannot ascertain its nature per se. Polity centralized, but nature cannot be ascertained. Writing has not been deciphered. Features we know of town planning, grid pattern, drainage, sewage, water management, what you can say standardization, 1:2:4, household designs, which were also based on privacy. Then trade and economy, extremely advanced, agriculture, animal husbandry, the concept of what is called as hunting gathering, but internal external trade based out of wide barter. Then when we talk about decline most probably because of environmental changes, this whole area is going to become more and more arid and semi-arid, which will in turn lead to decline, and the civilization will move towards what we call as the Doab region because of iron being brought in by the Vedic people also. So I hope that this has given you enough context and understanding for the examination. at least basics. That is why it's basics of history in that regard. I'll keep on covering topics for you in the most efficient manner, and I'll keep on making sure I give you these mind maps where you understand what are the topics which have to be learned. For any advanced understanding, for anything specific you want me to cover that, just write it in the comment section, like and share to the channel, and also like this session so that we know that you are appreciating this initiative. And I hope that this will help you in creating fundamental knowledge. If you're an engineer, if you're a doctor, if you have no understanding of these concepts, I'm there. I'll help you contextualize everything. So thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.